Welcome back to Renew You Life, and if you're new here, welcome. Today, we're diving into something, well, something a lot of us notice as we head into our 40s and, you know, beyond that, those shifts in energy. It's pretty common, right? Feeling like things just take a bit more effort than they used to. But the really great news, and this came through so clearly in the material we explored, is that you absolutely can boost your energy naturally. You can feel vibrant, focused, really alive without just grabbing for those quick fixes that, let's be honest, don't really last.
That's so true. The information we looked at, it gave such a solid base. It showed that getting that vitality back isn't about finding one magic trick. It's more about understanding how different parts of our health, well, how they all connect to influence our energy, and then making changes that stick.
Hmm.
So, yeah, our goal here is to pull out those key insights, those practical steps we found.
Okay, great. Let's get into it. The sources we looked at, they really zeroed in on several key areas, foundational pillars, you could say, for building that natural energy. And they started right at the beginning, the absolute basics.
They really did. And the number one thing, the most fundamental piece that just kept coming up again and again, quality sleep.
Right. We hear get more sleep all the time, but it felt like the material really stressed why it's maybe even more critical as we age.
Exactly. It wasn't just about, not feeling tired. The sources went deep into how sleep is when your body does its major repair work. Cellular repair, balancing hormones, even clearing out waste in the brain. These are all essential for energy and focus. And these processes, well, they can get less efficient if sleep quality drops, especially with hormonal changes or just, well, getting older.
Ah, so it's not just the number of hours, it's about how restorative that sleep actually is. And the material got specific on hours, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, the clear guideline was aiming for that sweet spot, 7 to 9 hours of genuinely restful sleep per night. And crucially, it wasn't just the target, it gave real actionable tips, like setting up a consistent, relaxing routine before you even get into bed, a wind down period.
And the screen time thing, I bet that was mentioned. That's huge for so many of us.
Oh, definitely. They really highlighted how that blue light messes with your melatonin, the sleep hormone, and also the simple stuff, the environment. Keeping the bedroom cool, dark, quiet. Sounds basic, but makes a difference.
And thinking about what you consume before bed. Heavy meals, caffeine, alcohol. The research showed how those can just sabotage your sleep quality.
Totally. Even if, say, alcohol makes you feel sleepy initially, it actually disrupts the deeper, more restorative sleep stages later in the night.
Hmm. So you wake up feeling less refreshed, even if you were technically asleep for hours.
Precisely,
Yeah.
leaving you feeling drained the next day.
Okay, so sleep is foundational. Then moving on from rest, the sources really push the idea of movement, physical activity, which, like you said before, can sound a bit backward when you're already feeling low energy, but they presented it as a powerful energy creator.
It absolutely is. The research explained it in a few ways. One, exercise gets your circulation going better, so oxygen and nutrients actually reach your cells more efficiently. Plus, it strengthens your heart and lungs, so everyday tasks just feel less strenuous.
And the mood boost, the endorphins.
Yes! Those famous endorphins. They give you a natural lift, fighting off that fatigue that can come from stress or just feeling a bit low. And importantly, regular exercise actually helps you sleep better. It all ties together, you see.
It really does loop back. The recommendations seem pretty doable too, aiming for about 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity each week.
Yeah, things like brisk walking, not just strolling, but really moving or cycling, swimming, stuff that gets your heart rate up sustainably.
And they didn't just focus on cardio, right? Strength training came up too.
Oh, absolutely critical. 2 to 3 times a week was the suggestion. Because as we age, we naturally lose muscle mass, and keeping that up is vital, not just for strength, but it also helps metabolism and how your body uses energy overall.
Makes sense. And they also mentioned gentler stuff, like yoga.
They did. Yoga, stretching, Tai Chi, things that improve flexibility and, importantly, help manage stress, which also feeds back into energy.
Okay, so we've got sleep, we've got movement. The third big pillar that came through loud and clear was fuel, nutrition.
Fundamental. The material was unequivocal. What you eat is directly linked to your energy supply. The big focus was on whole, minimally processed foods.
So what does that look like in practice, based on what we read?
Well, think lots of colorful vegetables, fruits, whole grains instead of refined ones, lean sources of protein, healthy fats from things like nuts, seeds, avocados. These give you that steady, sustained energy release. not the quick spike and crash.
Ah, the crash. Yeah, the material had specific tips for avoiding that, right?
It did. A key thing was keeping your blood sugar stable. Eating regular meals and snacks, making sure they have plenty of fiber and protein, that helps avoid those sharp ups and downs you get from, sugary drinks or white bread.
And hydration, too. Seems obvious, but
Crucial. Even being just slightly dehydrated can make you feel sluggish and fatigued. They really stress drinking enough water throughout the day.
it totally makes sense. If your engine doesn't have the right fuel or enough coolant, it's not going to run well. They even suggested talking to a nutritionist sometimes.
Yes, especially if you have specific health concerns or suspect you might have some deficiencies, getting personalized advice can be really helpful.
Okay, good point. Now, shifting gears a bit
Yeah.
from the purely physical stress, the sources really dug into how chronic stress just drains your battery.
It really does. And the material explained it's not just a mental drain. It physically impacts your sleep. It can weaken your immune system. It creates this nasty cycle that just eats away at your energy.
So managing that drain is key. What kind of techniques did the sources recommend?
A whole toolkit, really.
Yeah.
Things like mindfulness, meditation, even just simple deep breathing exercises practiced regularly. These can help calm your nervous system stress response.
And making time for things you actually enjoy. That sounds less like a chore.
Exactly. Engaging in hobbies, doing things just for fun that replenishes your mental and emotional energy reserves. Setting boundaries was another big one. Learning to say no sometimes, protecting your time and energy so you don't get burned out.
That's a tough one for many people.
It is. And something else that really stood out was the emphasis on social connection, nurturing relationships. The research suggested that strong social ties provide emotional support, which boosts resilience and, energy.
That's such a good reminder. Energy isn't just about your body, it's emotional too. Which kind of leads to another point the sources brought up. Sometimes feeling persistently tired isn't just about lifestyle. It could signal an underlying health issue.
Exactly. The material flagged several conditions that can become more common around midlife or later, and fatigue is often a major symptom.
Things like thyroid issues, or maybe low vitamin levels.
Precisely. Thyroid imbalances are a big one. Deficiencies in vitamins like D or B12, iron deficiency, anemia, even things like sleep apnea, where your breathing gets interrupted during sleep.
Right, these are things you might not fix just by eating better or sleeping more if there's an underlying cause.
Correct. Which is why the sources strongly recommended regular checkups with your doctor, including blood tests.
Yeah, getting those things checked out seems crucial.
Absolutely. Identifying and properly treating any underlying condition is vital if the fatigue just isn't lifting. The advice was clear. Persistent, worsening fatigue. Go see your healthcare provider.
Definitely. Okay, and we should also touch on those things we sometimes reach for when we need a quick boost, right? Like caffeine or maybe alcohol to unwind. The sources seemed pretty direct that these can backfire.
They often do. They mess with your body's natural energy regulation systems, and critically, they often disrupt sleep, even if it doesn't feel like it immediately.
So the advice wasn't necessarily never have coffee again.
No, more about being smart about it. If you enjoy coffee or tea, have it earlier in the day so it doesn't interfere with your sleep later on.
Mm-hmm.
And with alcohol, it was about moderation and definitely trying to avoid drinking it too close to bedtime because of how it fragments sleep.
Okay. And finally, there was this really powerful theme that kind of pulled everything together, focusing on purpose and positivity,
Oh.
like said.
Yes. This taps into that mental and emotional energy we mentioned. The sources argued that feeling engaged, inspired, optimistic, that's just as vital for your overall energy as physical health.
So how do we cultivate that, according to the material?
Well, things like setting meaningful goals, things that actually excite you, that give you a sense of direction. Doesn't have to be huge, world-changing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, consciously taking time to acknowledge your wins, your progress, celebrating the small steps, and actively surrounding yourself with positivity. That could be the people you spend time with, the stuff you read or watch, being intentional about your influences. Your inner state really impacts your outer energy.
Wow. Okay, so looking back at all these pieces, sleep, movement, food, stress, health checks, mindset, it's so clear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boosting your energy naturally, especially as we navigate our 40s and beyond, it's not about a quick fix at all.
Not in the slightest. The consistent message from everything we looked at was about building sustainable habits, habits that nourish your whole self, body, and mind. It's truly holistic.
And the really hopeful message is that you don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Small, consistent steps in these areas, they really add up. They can genuinely help you feel more energized, sharper, more focused, and just ready to embrace whatever life brings. making these decades feel really vibrant and fulfilling.
Absolutely. It's about playing the long game for lasting vitality.
We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable takeaways. To keep exploring these kinds of topics for personal growth and well-being, please follow us here at Renew Your Life on our social media channels. We share more insights and inspiration there regularly. And as you go about your week, maybe take a moment to reflect. What's one small, consistent step you can take, starting this week, to really prioritize and nurture your own natural energy?